And by the way, I don't know if you know this, but I brought you in to talk about one of these cool little parts of the wheel, and that is the very far right side where it says Zoom IQ for sales. This is one of our newest products, and I got to be honest with you, Preeti, I don't know it as well as I probably should, so I'm going to recruit you to teach me what Zoom IQ is for sales.
Cool. All right. Yeah, Zoom IQ for sales. That's one of the, one of our tools that has been added to our platform. It's basically our conversational AI product. What it allows you to do is, if you have a Zoom meeting that's been recorded with Zoom IQ,
Okay.
it is able to analyze the conversation and provide some useful feedback for example, for a sales team and for sales supervisors, where they can look at a conversation at a high level and very quickly determine what the conversation was about, again, at a high level. What were some of the topics that were discussed? How well did the speaker perform? For example, things like it has a lot of metrics. What is your talk listen ratio? Did you ask good questions? And it also has a number of other features like integration with Salesforce and things like that. So based on what the conversation is about, if it was healthcare, if it was sales, you have conversational analytics for that particular topic, essentially. So that's kind of at a high level. I'm sure you've heard. What are your thoughts on Zoom IQ?
I noticed we had it obviously a couple of months ago. I believe we've had it for a few months, and now I see that it is literally Zoom IQ for sales, which targets a demographic for sales. And I understand that because who's trying to make the most calls, right? Who's making who has the most
Yeah,
meetings with these external people? Who is driving revenue would be the part.
exactly.
And there's an underlying motivation for having this technology is that, listen, as a salesperson, you have one job. Right. You have one job. Your job is to sell something, whatever it is. It might be Zoom, right? It might be Tractor Supplies, whatever it is. You are talking to people all day long. At least, hopefully, you are.
Mhm.
And as a manager or as you were trying to learn, you're like, how do I become better at my craft? Right. Because the better I become at my craft, guess what happens? The better I become at my job, the more revenue I make for the company. Motivationally, somebody, every enterprise, even SMB and major markets, would see a benefit from analyzing every single sales call you are. That's the whole goal, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are sort of reluctant to record and review our conversations, right? Nobody wants to sort of watch themselves talk and
Yeah.
relive a conversation that you have with the customer. This could be a little bit helpful in a sense that you could just look at it at a high level and say, wow, did I only ask one good question in that conversation? And for a sales supervisor, perhaps they could look at it and say, oh, look, Patrick asked four good questions, and then you look at the deal and perhaps the deal closed. And what are the questions that Patrick asked in this call? Maybe I could use that to coach the rest of the team and say, hey, how about you ask these additional questions? I've noticed that you only ask one question
Mm.
and you're not engaging the customer enough, right? So it just helps the sales supervisor or even yourself. I like to use it just to analyze my own conversations.
Yeah.
I have a bad habit sometimes of using a lot of filler words. I use a lot I do a lot of monologuing like I'm doing right now, right? So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just helps kind of to give me some idea of how well I did in the conversation and improve my own performance.
So I really just view this as a coaching tool
Yeah.
for you as an individual. Again, honing your craft to be a better almost presenter in a way, but a better speaker, a better salesperson. And it can be a little humbling at times because you start seeing things that you never knew you did, right? And actually you was using sales IQ the other day, and I didn't realize how many times I used the word actually,
Yeah.
because it's a
Mm-hmm.
filler word. Actually,
Actually.
literally, let's look at
Mhm.
this. Like these are filler words that we don't need, that I never realized I said until I reviewed my IQ analytics. So just
Yeah.
simple things like that to make us better presenters. And let's be honest, when we're in sales, we're presenting ideas and theories and functions. That's our whole job. We are presenting. And this is all it's going to do is make you a better presenter.
But yeah, we want to put our best foot forward, right? This isn't about, I know that we had We'd spoken to a customer that who
Mhm.
had some concerns about a tool like this. For example, is this too much of corporate overreach where we are analyzing every single conversation that you have? We're trying to provide you feedback.
So I'd love to show the audience what it looks like,
Okay.
and certainly how it goes through. I know from an overview, right? Every time we join a Zoom meeting or a Zoom call, we can enable IQ through recording. Is right is what it does. It records that conversation and then uses some sort of AI algorithm to figure out all this transcribe and transcription of this of the word flow, and then gives you all those analytics, and I'm assuming it presents in some sort of dashboard. So I'd love to
Yeah.
see what it looked like if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me share my screen here.
It looks like you're just pulling it right in the same portal as everything else in Zoom.
Exactly. Just like every other product that we have at Zoom, everything is built right into our platform, into our portal. You log into the admin portal, and if you have the license assigned to you for Zoom IQ,
Mhm.
then you will see this link pop up here, Zoom IQ for Sales, and all of your options are right here. Now, I want to just, before we go too far down the road here, I just want to mention that the analytics are available for Zoom meetings, obviously, but they're also available for phone conversations, Zoom phone conversations, uh, meaning that you're able to analyze Zoom phone conversations. It can also integrate with your calendar and email, and like I mentioned, Salesforce. So when you look at a deal, you have all of the interactions with the customer associated with that deal, whether they're Zoom meetings, Zoom phone, emails, calendar appointments, everything is in one place for you to look at.
And that's an important point that you're making, is that probably the biggest CRM solution today in the world is Salesforce, right? I believe 40 something percent of the world utilize Salesforce as their CRM. And when you're a salesperson, if you were a salesperson in this industry for any length of time, you know your job is to, one, obviously have conversations with customers, but two, make sure you document all those conversations with customers. And that's an amazing ability that we can do with not only Zoom Phone integrated in Salesforce, which is another conversation, but Zoom IQ, because this is a very important part. We're pulling all those analytics and data and conversations into this mechanism. We certainly want that reflected in our CRM solution.
Absolutely, absolutely. It has a strong integration with our Salesforce instance over here. I'm gonna talk through this, but over here on the right hand side, as you can see, the Salesforce opportunity, we call that an opportunity in Salesforce, is noted here as a deal in Zoom IQ. So this is the opportunity that this particular recording is related to. So here's the deal, and it gives you the company info, what stage the deal is in, the deal size, and some basic information. So there's a number of fields that we can pull in from Salesforce into Zoom IQ. So then again, you have that single view right here from within the platform.
And that creates an efficient model, right, for data entry and data collection, data retrieval, is that users and salespeople aren't having to put all this information in two different repositories. So really, really slick stuff.
Absolutely. So if you look at this deal, see the customer name, and as I stated, all the customer contacts are right here, right? This one that we're looking at right now, just have to mention before we go forward, is that this is just a mock environment that we have, this where we did this recording just for the purpose of demos. Myself and a couple of other SCs got together and did this recording. Lucas Johnson, Lucas Johnson that you see here, was one of our SCs that pretended to be an account manager, and then Adam was the actual customer in this mock recording, and then I was an SC. I played myself in this recording.
I was going to say, congratulations. Well done. You did close the deal one. So, well,
I wish this is all fake. Yeah, so this is just a mock recording that we use. And as you can see here, when I clicked on the deal, I can see that there was a meeting here on April 29th, followed by a phone conversation here, which you can click on and look at, and then followed by another meeting as well here. And then you can see that the deal was closed one. And that is, you can open up this timeline, gives you a nice pretty graph here that shows all of the interactions in a nice timeline if you wanted to. Let's go back here. And this is, under the Zoom IQ for Sales, there is a conversations link, and this is where all of your recorded conversations reside. And I just wanted to talk through some of the analytics that are available here.
Okay.
So obviously here in the top, what you see is the actual recording of the entire conversation. There's Nancy, who's our lovely Zoom SE, who was acting as Lucas Johnson, the account manager. And then we had in here, you'll also see Adam. Again, he's another SE. Yeah, so as you move the cursor here along this timeline, you'll see that Zoom IQ has identified different topics. So first, over here, you see that there was a conversation for about 2 minutes about Zoom Phone, a general discussion. And then here's this 8-minute long conversation or a 9-minute long conversation about a person named Darlene. So this is, this is something that a supervisor can look at and say, hey, wait a minute, why did you spend that much time talking about a person named Darlene? What's going on here? You were supposed to be talking about what the customer wants in a phone system, etc. And you spend about, let's say, 2 minutes talking about that. Obviously, maybe this is of some interest. You can look at the transcript, you can play this recording and see what this was about for real. And then, of course, there's a little bit of a wrap up here.
That's super cool. I see we call that function smart chapters, and we're using this transcription and AI ability to just delineate all these different sections, so you could quickly go to that section as being effective as possible and efficient as possible, and follow that discussion. That's fantastic.
So yeah, down here you see the different smart chapters. You can also that's just that you've got a couple of options here. You can look at participants. So here's Lucas Johnson, and this is the analytics of his speech in this conversation. So what you can do is look at these different metrics that we have here. And if you hover over these metrics, a Zoom IQ gives you kind of a guideline as to what's recommended, what sort of a, hey, take a little bit of note here, look at your talk listen ratio might be a little concerning, or a caution is when you just talked all the time and didn't let anybody else speak, right? So talk listen ratio here is 40%, which is great. And then filler words, we don't like to use a lot of filler words in our conversation, but some is good. It makes the speech more natural. Talk speed 180 words a minute. So I tend to talk fast sometimes, especially when I'm
the longest spiel is my always my red one, Preeti.
That's for all of our SCs when we're presenting though, right?
Yeah.
We just keep talking and talking and talking, and then sometimes you're on a Zoom meeting where everybody has video off, and then you have no idea whether anybody's listening, falling asleep, went to walk the dog, no idea.
And something cool that I love, and I know it's a simple thing, but I can, as I'm going through the participants list, and I may be a manager, and I might not be familiar with everybody in the meeting, and I can immediately tell who is external to that meeting right there. It's a really cool little feature.
Absolutely. And then you can also, if you want, you can play that portion of the conversation. If you just wanted to listen to what the customer said, right here, you can just play that portion of the conversation. You'll be able to just listen to that piece, right?
Fantastic. The UI is really laid out very, very well. It's very intuitive and very simple. I know that Zoom's mantra is simplicity and frictionless in all modalities, but this is really, really well done.
Yeah, it's just really simple, no nonsense. We're not blasting you with overwhelming amount of analytics. We're giving you some high level information here that you can use. I would look at this and say, oh, I spoke too fast. I need to slow down a little bit. I need to use fewer filler words, or maybe I need to speak a little faster, right? So that's it. I could just take a look at these analytics. Now, after the call has been recorded, and again, like you mentioned before, Patrick, I want to be very clear for our audience here, is that when you have Zoom IQ enabled on your account, you want to make sure that you're recording the calls with Zoom IQ, right? So you still have the ability to record the call without Zoom IQ, or you can record with Zoom IQ. So if you do that, that's when you get all of these analytics.
It's a tool that I didn't know I needed until after I had it.
Exactly.
It's one of those things.
So one more thing in your arsenal, right? If you want to just improve your conversation, I always am looking for ways to improve my presentation skills, my speaking skills, and I think this just helps a little bit.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. This is really a presentation coach. You can literally use this just for you, right? And you alone.
Yeah.
You don't have to share it with your manager and all that stuff. You can just use this to make yourself better. It's that simple.
Exactly. Or, if you just wanted to practice with your coworkers, SC team, for example, we like to get together and, just practice a presentation, just to get feedback from your team as well.
Fantastic. I love it.
Let's keep going here. So under coaching, there's a couple of options here. So as a team manager or a sales supervisor, I can do something called create scorecards. I'll show you how to create a scorecard later. These questions that you see in the scorecard, you can customize these. So you can create these scorecards with questions. And then what you can do for each conversation that you are reviewing, you could assign a scorecard and you could rate the answers here. So how engaging was the seller? How interested was the buyer? So this is a very quick way to provide some feedback to your team if you like.
I'd get scared if I had a 3.3, but it gives me the opportunity to be a better salesperson.
Yeah, this was a mock recording, so we were trying to be a little goofy in this recording, and we weren't very good at selling anything to the customer in this recording. We were doing things like talking over each other. What we tried to do is intentionally trip some of the analytics,
right,
to see how well it picks up.
Easily viewable, easily digestible information, and you can at a glance figure out what's going on. So that's well done.
Yeah. So on the right hand side here, conversation summary, engagement, and a sentiment score. So the engagement score here, again, it gives you like what's recommended, etc. When you hover over it, you can click here and you can try to get more, learn more. It takes you to a website, gives you more information about these analytics. Engagement score is really based on all of these metrics here. It comes up with some kind of formula that it uses, and it determines what the overall engagement score is. So now all of these analytics and things are based on industry research that Zoom has done.
Zoom's diving deep into AI for this reason alone, to literally machine learning, AI, business analytics to make yourself better.
So yeah, engagement score is based on some of these metrics here, and then the sentiment score is based on whether the customer used or whether there were any like positive words that were used during the conversation. So sentiment score of 50, neutral. Yeah. Right. If the customer used a lot of positive word, if they were really engaged, you get a better sentiment score. Quick high level, you don't have to listen to the entire recording. Take a very quick look here. What are all the things that were discussed, the topics? Look at the actual conversation metrics here, and then you can look at the scores here. You can also look at what were some of the questions that were asked. For example, if I just clicked on it and took me right to the transcript here, you have some additional tabs here on the top right. Here's the full transcript of the conversation is under the content tab. And then when I clicked on good questions, it took me right to the part where Zoom IQ thought a question was asked.
Yeah, all transcribed right from the video. And then you can search this whole transcription, right? Real time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. For example, a competitor, right? Was that mentioned? That also is something that you can, is in the call out section. So competitors mentioned, it takes you right to where any competitors were mentioned. And these are configurable, by the way. So Zoom competitors could be Cisco, could be Microsoft. We have that configured here in the system. So it is looking for those keywords in the transcript, and it can take you right to where the competitor was mentioned. So it's a good way for you to look at that.
Understood. Yeah, fantastic. That's really well done and really easily to find exactly what conversation and where you're going with it. And so as a manager, as you are yourself, you want to be like, hey, I think I said that during the meeting, and you don't have to listen. You don't have to watch that whole video to get right to the spot and start doing some analyzation. Perfect. Great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Comments. If you wanted to just add a comment here, you can just, you can tag the person that you're trying to send the comment to. So actually, I think that in this portion right here in the, I had my time bar here at the 2 minutes, 19 seconds. So when I made the comment here, it was for that particular portion of the conversation. So, and then, if I'm reviewing this comment, I can just play. It'll take me right to the part where it's really just referencing that portion of the conversation is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, good, simple comments as a coach to clarify and points, good or bad, right? And to highlight what you're looking at. Perfect. Golly, this thing keeps getting better.
I can create clips of the conversation, and if I wanted to share the clip, I can just add it to a playlist, and then people can go through the playlist. So, for example, let's say that I thought Adam in this had a really good question, for example, or some really good feedback. I could create a clip of that particular portion of the conversation, add it to a playlist, and that playlist can be reviewed by the team as part of your training, part of your coaching. Again, what this allows you to do as a sales leader is to create consistency across the team. Perhaps you want to say, ask these few questions, or these are the sort of the winning sort of words to use. I don't know, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
If you want to create some consistency across the team, and you want to say this is how we'd like to address these objections, for example, in sales, you come up, people object to what you're trying to sell all the time, and here's a good response to an objection.
Well, this thing is huge, and this is just one part of this. I mean, it keeps going.
You got, let's see, here's all like the different deals. So if you have a Zoom IQ license assigned to your account in Zoom, and you've got a Salesforce integration, then it's going to pull down all of the deals that you're associated with in Salesforce. Is going to pull that in here. So, and so you can, when you have a conversation with the customer, it automatically assigns that to the deal.
Because again, as a salesperson, you have a certain territory, right, within Salesforce, and all your customers are right there, that I can pull all those in right from that CRM integration without having, again, to redo work. It makes it really, really effective.
Absolutely. And then take a look at this. So under the analytics tab, you can see your entire team if you like, right? I've got all teams selected here, and number of conversations. So Lucas Johnson has had 9 conversations, Craig's had 6. So I could see high level report for the entire team. Conversation duration, how's the team doing? 21 minutes based on 3 conversations. This is 19 minutes. Who's not speaking up enough? 4 conversations, and Amelia has only spoken for about 3 minutes. Let's look at talk listen ratio. This is a fun one. This is the one where recommended is 40 to 70%, and talk listen ratio Dave Anderson is at 100%. Somebody that maybe
this is probably my ratio, Preeti, let's be honest.
That's all of us as these, right?
Fantastic. I love the recommended range. It's immediately again, as a manager, you can immediately discern who was talking too much or who was talking too little, and where we should be at, just for really visual feedback, just really without having to dig into too many numbers.
Talking speed, all of those metrics that we saw earlier under the conversations, you can, this is just a nice way of looking at it for the entire team. Filler words, longest spiel, patience.
Craig went on a soapbox on that one, didn't he? That spiel.
Sentiment score. So who's getting the best sentiment scores here? Again, these analytics are great. But you also, obviously, your team best. They help you look at things from a high level. Obviously, you want to listen to the conversation. You use this along with your own judgment.
Those are super effective, well laid out, easily digestible, easily discernible, and I could get quick information very, very effectively just by looking at obviously some linear bar graphs.
Let me just take you through one more really quick. This was another conversation that we recorded. This was a follow-up conversation from the previous conversation. This was recorded just recently, and so it has some additional features that came out. So I like this. So now you have with Zoom IQ an entire conversation summary. I can click on it, and it has analyzed the entire conversation and given you at a high level what this conversation was about. Lucas is an account executive, Adam is director, They have a problem with their phone system, for example. And Adam's company has to be an outside company to service phone system. And then closing of next steps. Lucas and Preeti will meet Adam next Friday, 3 p.m. to talk about proof of concept. A really great summary here that you can copy, you can save it if you want. This is Zoom IQ's analysis of the conversation. If you don't think this is right, for example, here my name is spelled wrong. I don't blame the system for that. Easy to spell, so I can just correct it.
This is super powerful. This is literally using AI to analyze the conversation and then create a whole summary so you could easily see, hey, what's this conversation about? Because you're obviously, when you're talking to Grand Hotel, you're having 50, 100 different sales meetings during that sales cycle. And sometimes you don't really remember what that meeting's about. You definitely don't want to watch the meeting all over again. So this is a great new tool.
And in this particular conversation, we had well-defined next steps, right? And I think in the previous example that I showed, again, that was an example of like how to have a really bad conversation and lose a customer. Listen to it. We were talking about some fictionary individual named Darlene and about baby seals, I think.
Yeah. Probably so, not a very, very good conversation there.
This was more professional. It has some of the good highlights as far as next step. A whole bunch of things in the conversation that came up as next steps. Good questions. We looked at this critical items, objection. See, here's an objection. We had guests complain that their calls aren't being answered, doesn't know how to operate the phone system correctly. With Zoom, you wouldn't have to worry about that. So this is a little bit of objection handling.
Sure.
Right.
And a training opportunity. Yeah.
It has found that, and again, good coaching tool.
Wow. I'm super impressed. I thought I knew a lot about it, Preeti, but I learned a lot more today than I ever knew, and maybe it highlights that I need to maybe have more conversations with my SE team on this stuff. I mean, I can see how useful this could be for literally sales managers, sales leaders, sales people. And it's impressed me. It certainly has. And you know what? I want to thank you for your time. This is the very first, I guess, Patrick Kelley show that I've ever done with somebody. It's just usually me blathering to myself. So I thank you and for your time and your effort in putting this all together.
Oh, of course, you're very welcome. I had fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on. I'm so honored to be your first guest. Hopefully, I'm getting invited back on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to do some updates during the time. Like, hey, Patrick, look at all this new stuff we didn't talk about last time, so our audience can kind of keep up.
Absolutely.
So happy Friday, or whenever you're watching this video. I wanted to say I enjoyed doing this sort of this forum. I have never done it like this before, and I think it inspires me to do this again. And maybe I can invite not only you but other SEs that are far more technical and far more knowledgeable at some of those modalities within the wheel that I don't know about, or I know about at a very high level, and we need to kind of dig into those. So appreciate you.